Right. Open. Whoops. Live with a shaman. Live with a shaman. Part 4. Yeah. Part 4, first year training. Right? So we'll give a few of the folk that wanted to come and check it out a bit of time to get here. Good morning, Cindy. Hope you get to feeling better soon. What else we got going on? Ceremony, ritual. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And then next week, we'll be talking about how to set up an altar that I know quite a few have been wanting to observe and wanting to check out. So this week we're in Shaman First Year Training Part 4. Difference between ceremony and ritual, why we use them, what we do that's ceremonial and what we do that's ritualistic, and the way students are essentially expected to conduct themselves accordingly. Now, one of the things that I'll kill a little bit of time with, because it's not going to take any time at all to go over ceremony and ritual. One of the things I will kill a little bit of time with, you do need to understand, those of you that are stopping by to check out the Live with the Shaman videos, because the Grove of the Celtic Shaman does things this way, does not mean this is the way you have to do them. We have a number of friends and family within the Grove of the Celtic Shaman that are solitaire. They're solitaire shamans. Some of the shamans have trained within the GCS and moved on to be the solitaire shaman. However, those who follow the oath of the tradition of the Grove of the Celtic Shaman, we do, each of us have our own way of training. But at the end of the day, when we swear an oath to that tradition, we do our best to do things the way the tradition lays out. To do them that way there is consistency, there's stabilization, there's foundation and support within the tradition. Okay, Clint, I'm here. Cindy, me too. Debbie, well, she's here somewhere. And I'm here. So, onward and upward, right? So like I say, today's probably going to be relatively short. Next week, however, we may go a little over. Now, I don't have all of the cameras working, but I'm going to try to get them going so that, drum, so that we can get a better visual, so that I don't have to keep reaching up and adjusting the camera one way or the other. Right. Without further ado, left screen. All right. Last week we stopped in chapter 3 with kind of a recoup here. We stopped in chapter 3 with who is the council, the different cardinal points and the elements, and the fact that the council is, at the core, the cardinal points and the elements. Who they are, there's 9. Who's the triad, what they do, who they are. The fact that we don't ever want first years to call the triad. Cindy, I have 3 three cameras, and the problem is every one of them is wanting to take on the same address. So the camera software can't differentiate between the three because all three of them are taking on the same stupid address. Anyway, here we go. So this week, here we are. Chapter 4. What is a ceremony and what is a ritual? Well, let's think about it. A ceremony is the way of doing things that is written or practiced the same way all the time. I'll say that again. A ceremony is doing things the same way, saying the same things, doing the same things over and over again in a repetitive nature. In the Grove of the Celtic Shaman, we do things, we do our ceremonies ritualistically. Now, in the ritualistic ceremony, right? Well, the reason it can be called a ceremony is we tend to set up the altar, we set up the circle. If we're doing a group circle, we have a fire pit if possible. We have each of the altars set up in the same place, essentially the same way, with slight variables. The ceremony is that we do Sabbath on the day of the Sabbath if at all possible. So you can see where a ceremony is the ceremonialism of doing things as close to or as possible to the same way all the time. A ritual is flying by the seat of your pants, right? You walk in, you do your march, you cleanse your circle, you step up to the north altar, and you throw your hands up. You're going to call down north, and everything you thought you were going to say goes out the window, and spirit guide and counsel says, hey, you're doing it this way. How many times have we had that happen? Almost every time I've ever done a ritual. So that's the reason in the Grove of the Celtic Shaman we do what we call rituals. We don't call them ceremonies because though they are ceremonialistic, they are rituals at the core in the way we do them. Right? That's it. Class over. No. Not far from it though. So let's think about a ceremony. Why a ceremony might want to be used? Well, the ceremony is, if we're doing an open cast, is one candle, right? A low cast is going to be 4 candles. Yeah, I get it. People are saying Facebook is crashing. And, alright. Yeah. Okay. A low cast is 4 candles. Right? So, a single candle is generally asking for guidance. Methinks my alarm's a little late. Um, Alright, generally asking for guidance or understanding. Also for the healing of another. This is kind of just a quick run through of what an open cast would be for. Right. Okay. Low cast is 4 candles, cardinal points. Damn, I wish spell check was working. Used for generally, it can be the same as the above. But needing a bit more push, if you will. Also for training and guidance within your self or your own path, right? So a low cast for 4 candles, also used for personal Sabbath calls, right? So understanding that the ceremony, all right, the ceremony is how many candles we set up for what. And it kind of stops there. You can light a single candle at work if your job doesn't have a problem with open flame. You can light a single candle on a tabletop, all right? The hearth above the fireplace if you have a fireplace. Beside your chair on a coffee table, put something under it so that when it burns through, most time it will, it doesn't damage your tabletop. All right. So a single open cast, a single candle, is lighting a candle, focusing the energy into that candle. But anything outside of the ceremony of a single candle is a ritual. Okay. You're asking for prayers. What is a prayer? A cast of energy. All right. Then the ceremony of a low cast is setting up the 4 candles generally in the cardinal points of where they need to be. However, I have used, and you will see next week when I show you about setting up an altar, the way I set my altar up, you will see where I have a tree of life with actually 9 candles available on it. All right. So you can see where the setting up of the four candles typically is the ceremony, because you've got 4 for a low cast, right? I have been known to set up a low cast with an open center. Yes, a low cast with an open center. A low cast is north, south, east, and west, right? With a center candle for the focal with my intent. And if you didn't catch that, rewind and listen to that part of it again. Now, here is the high caste. Mm, yes. Right. 9 candles. I would never understand why my spell check is not working. Anyway, all right. So the high caste is um, the 9 candles, which are the cardinal points and the elementals. The 4 cardinal points, I shouldn't have to tell you what they are. I've beat them into your I beat them into your head enough. The 5 elements, I shouldn't have to tell you what those are because I've beat them into your head enough. But setting them up, the ceremony behind setting them up, is all a part of the cast, right? North, east, south, west, and I'm getting my mind focused in and honed in on what I'm going to be doing. And then I will set the spirit candle up above north and then go between each of the others with earth, air, fire, water, or fire, water, air, earth. However you want to set them up, however you want to call them, that's where the ritual comes in, and you're stepping away from the ceremony. The ceremony, though, is setting up the candles for the purpose, setting them up for what reason. And I'm going to remind you time and time again, especially first years, don't shoot a fly with a shotgun. You just don't want to shoot a fly with a shotgun. This will overload your your mockingbird mouth will overload your hummingbird ass real quick because that's entirely too much responsibility for a single thing. Now, why? Well, I'll talk about the why here in a minute. But back over, we we have to understand that the high caste using the 9 candles, right? We have the 5 cardinal points, dumbass. We have the 4 cardinal points, and we have the 5 elementals. Now, in a ritual, well, what is a ceremony? Scripted and or doing it the same way every time. Where they used focus, focus, discipline, and organization. And yes, I will go back and I will go back over these later. So you will see misspellings. Your misspellings, just deal with it. What is a ritual? Well, a ritual is the doing of the call, right? The doing of the call, thereby how and what you call is up to you, aside from who or what you call per candle. Why they're used? Well, a ritual is used for Sabbath, right? Call for healing, call for energy in a circle, or location. Alright, this one here, I would not expect a non-student of the GCS to know. However, it almost seems like common sense. Anyone? How many people does it take to have a ritual? And I realize we've only got 2 in the live broadcast at this point, both of which are very trained in their craft. I'm asking them, how many people does it take for a ritual? Anyone? Bueller, 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 Bueller. Yes, thank you, Clint. 1. 1. Yes, thank you, Sabrina. 1. All it takes is one person to have a ritual. Well, if you don't have the one person, you don't have much of a damn ritual, can you? Because the candles cannot, will not, and are not going to light themselves. Contrary to popular belief. Yourself. 1. Yes. What? So I'll type that in there. Like I really need to put that in there, but I guess I will. You only need you. Yes. 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 Right. So let's think about this. Short, sweet, and to the point. A ceremony is something that is done essentially the same way all the time. A ceremony typically is a repetition of setup, of function, of functionality. There are quite a bit of few Wiccan and witch covens as well as Druidic covens and shamanic groves Whoops, Druidic groves. Got a Druid hear me call them a coven, I'd get smacked. Druid groves and Shaman groves that do ceremonies. The An awful lot of your Native American tribes do ceremonies. Their beat of their drums is the same, it never varies. The steps that they use with their feet as they're doing the dance around the circle never changes. It hones in that focus on a ceremony. The words are pre-scripted depending on the ceremony you're going to use, and you follow those scripts depending on where you're at. Now, some of the teachers within the Grove of the Celtic Shaman may go deeper into ceremonies than I do. Personally, I like the idea that a ceremony is done during setup. You're getting the focus, you're getting your mind and your heart and your body and your spirit into the right place. Back when we had Circle down south, I'd get up on ritual morning, cut the grass, clean the circle, get things set up. Very seldom did I ever have music playing because it allowed me to become one with the mother and become one and get myself centered and ready for a ritual. So, left screen, covered, in, part 4. Right, there you have it. And I will pull this up later and run spell check on it and be sure that formatting is where it needs to be and make sure that formatting is correct and all of that. Then once that is done, I'll probably upload where we're at to the OpenGCS so people can look at it and go from there. So to recap, for those of you that are watching the pre-recorded broadcast, a ceremony is something typically that is scripted, something that's typically done the same way all the time. It may be written, it may not be written, but a ceremony is done the same way all the time. There are written rules and regulations within a ceremony that is followed by the practitioners. That's the reason a lot of your awards ceremonies that are on TV and such are very heavily scripted and controlled so that people don't go running amok. Although sometimes running amok can be fun. A ritual, you step up to your altar or you go into circle with a focused idea in mind. Your heart's in the right place, your mind is focused on what you're going to be doing. And when you step up to altar and you get ready to light that first candle and make that first call of north, the way you say it, the way you say it will change. Yes, Clint, we will have to do that. We will have to get some time and gas money and what have you together to come down and enjoy one of the gatherings in your circle for sure. Look forward to it. Okay, so, well, we're gonna draw to a close here. Okay, and I'm gonna try to remember where I put the damn mouse. So we're gonna draw to a close, and I want to thank those of you that are keeping up with and watching and giving input and feedback on these chapters of the first year training for Live with a Shaman and the Grove of the Celtic Shaman training series. We've been asked for this for years, and we just now actually kind of put it together. But like I said, be a relatively short day. Now, next week, be here or be square because we're going to actually call an altar. We're going to set up an altar with different things. I'm going to hope like hell my cameras do what they need to do between now and then, and we'll figure it out from there. Right. Well, thank you for watching. Right. And we'll see you next week right here on Live with the Shaman. I hope you have a great week.